What if everything you were taught about happiness is the very reason you feel exhausted?
We chase success, money, productivity, perfect routines.
Yet anxiety is rising, burnout is normal, and joy feels delayed.
Stephanie Harrison asks an uncomfortable question.
What if happiness was never meant to be earned?
This audiobook doesn't promise quick fixes,
It dismantles the lie that happiness lives after achievement.
because maybe the problem isn't you.
Maybe it's the version of happiness the world sold you.
This is New Happy, and once you hear it,
You'll never chase joy the same way again. Hello, everyone. Hi, all.
hey there, good to be with you.
Welcome to Book Podcast Zone. I'm Emma, and I am really excited to get into this today. We are looking at something that I think so many of us feel deep down. It's this paradox, right? Why is it that the people who seem to have it all, who follow the success playbook to the letter, so often feel empty?
That's a huge question.
It is. It feels like a real crisis of meaning. And Stephanie Harrison's work, New Happy, it doesn't just ask the question. It offers a completely different map.
And I'm John. My job today is really to help us synthesize this framework because it's expansive. This isn't just a list of tips. It's a fundamental re-architecting of how we think about joy. We're going to break down what the book calls old happy, this achievement-driven conditional model.
Always waiting for the next thing.
Exactly. And contrast it with the new happy approach, which is all about, inherent worth, about contribution. It's a much more sustainable way to live.
So our mission today is to give you a shortcut through this whole exploration. We're not just going to summarize. We're going to dig in, analyze the structure, and really show you how that old happy system is almost designed to create burnout.
And more importantly, how the new happy framework gives you a way out. It's a deep dive, really, into unlearning some pretty toxic ideas about success that we've all absorbed.
It feels like the most necessary conversation we could be having right now, because that old script, it's not just failing us, it feels like it's actively hurting us.
It is. It's causing real harm. So let's get into it. Let's unpack this framework and start at the very beginning with the fundamental flaw in how we even define happiness.
Okay, so the first chapter really just drops a bombshell, but it's so simple when you hear it. The idea is that we've got the goalposts in the wrong stadium entirely. We've made happiness and external success the same thing.
It's anonymous.
Yeah, this old happy model is totally transactional. It's like a vending machine. You put in the hard work, the long hours, the sacrifice, and happiness is supposed to come out as a reward.
A reward you only get after you check off the boxes, right?
Yeah.
The six-figure job, the corner office, the perfectly staged family photo for the holiday card.
The kitchen Reno that looks like it's straight out of a magazine. It's all conditional.
And that transactional view is the root of the problem the source material is trying to solve.
Yeah.
Old Happy says joy is earned, that it lives somewhere in the future, just over the next hill. So you're always in this state of anxious waiting.
That's such a good way to put it. Anxious waiting.
The New Happy approach just flips that on its head. It argues that fulfillment isn't a destination. It's a way of traveling. It's something you access right now through, being authentic, being present, through real connection. It's part of you, not something you have to go out and get.
Okay, but let me push back a little here because I can hear some of our listeners, especially the high achievers, thinking, but that striving is what got me where I am. I mean, we are raised in the U.S. with this deep-seated belief that hard work is the path to happiness.
Of course. And that's why we have to look at the cultural history of this myth. It's not an accident. In the U.S. especially, it's all tied up in these foundational ideas of self-reliance, the Protestant work ethic, this whole concept of meritocracy.
The pull yourself up by your bootstraps idea.
Exactly. From the very beginning, the national narrative has been about the individual conquering the odds through sheer force of will. And a moral dimension got attached to it. If you're successful, you're seen as virtuous, as deserving. And if you're struggling, well, that's framed as a personal, moral failing.
Wow. When you put it like that, it sounds less like a recipe for joy and more like a lifelong performance review.
That's what it has become. And it's expanded beyond just money.
Yeah.
You have to be optimizing everything. Your diet, your fitness tracker, your kids' extracurriculars, your mindfulness practice. It's all become another set of metrics to prove you're succeeding.
So success isn't just something that might make you happy. It's now this moral prerequisite to even feeling good about yourself.
Which creates an impossible standard. And it leads directly to that feeling the source material describes so well, the feeling of being stuck. I think everyone listening can relate to this. You finally get the thing you were chasing, the promotion, the house in the good school district. You pay off your student loans.
Right. There's this moment of pure euphoria. You did it.
For a moment. But then A week later, a month later, the shine wears off. And you're left standing there thinking, okay, what's next? Why don't I feel different? Why isn't this enough?
That silence after the celebration, it's a killer.
And that is the hedonic treadmill in action. We need to understand the psychology here. Our brains are literally hardwired to adapt. We quickly return to a baseline level of happiness no matter what happens. So you get that huge promotion, you get a massive dopamine hit, it's exciting, it's new, but your brain very quickly recalibrates, and that new salary, that new title just becomes normal.
So it's not just that the goalpost moves, our brain actively makes the place we're standing less exciting.
Precisely. The external achievement doesn't fix an internal deficit. It's just a temporary distraction. If you're looking for self-worth from that job title, the underlying feeling of not enough is still there once the novelty is gone. So it demands a new achievement to feel okay again. It's a chase that's literally designed to never end.
Which brings us right to now, to 2025, and how hustle culture has just put this whole system on steroids.
Oh, absolutely. Hustle culture is old, happy, and overdrive. It's not just about working hard anymore. It's the 24/7 glorification of being on, of optimizing, of producing. You see it in tech, in finance, in startup culture here in the US. The 80-hour work week is a badge of honor. Answering emails at midnight is seen as dedication.
And people will actually brag, about not having taken a vacation in 3 years.
It's seen as a sign of commitment. The toxic belief underneath all of that is that rest is weakness. That if you aren't actively producing or optimizing, you're lazy or you're falling behind. This just feeds a state of chronic, low-grade stress. Your entire system is exhausted by trying to live up to this impossible and, frankly, inhuman standard of output.
You can see how the whole system is built on a flawed map. Just seeing it clearly feels like the first huge step.
It is. So building on that, Chapter 2 gets into the specific misconceptions, the big lies we tell ourselves that keep us running on that treadmill. And maybe the biggest one is a productivity trap.
Oh, this one hits home. The idea that your value is directly tied to your efficiency. That every single minute of your day has to be accounted for and have a quantifiable result.
You see it in those hyper-detailed daily schedules people post online, right?
Mhm.
The 5 a.m. cold plunge, the 6 a.m. journaling, the color-coded work blocks.
And then if you do something spontaneous like take a nap on a Tuesday afternoon or just read a novel for an hour, there's this wave of guilt. Like you've committed some kind of sin because it didn't move the needle on a goal.
It's a complete misapplication of the idea of efficiency. We've started treating ourselves like machines. And the source material gets into why these myths are so sticky. It's not just a personal failing, it's structural.
The connection to consumer culture is fascinating and kind of terrifying.
It's a self-perpetuating engine. I mean, think about it. The entire consumer economy thrives on you feeling like you're not quite enough. If you were genuinely content, if you believed your worth was inherent, you wouldn't need the next productivity app, the status symbol card, the anti-aging cream, the masterclass that promises to unlock your potential.
So old happy creates the anxiety.
And then the market sells you the solution. It keeps us in this state of perpetual dissatisfaction, which makes us perpetual customers. It's a brilliant business model, but it's devastating for our well-being.
And the cost is burnout. The book is really clear about distinguishing burnout from just regular stress.
Yes, this is so important. Stress is acute. You have a tough deadline, a hard project. It's taxing, but it ends. Burnout or systemic exhaustion is different. It's when your whole belief system breaks. It's the realization that you've been chasing something that was never going to make you happy in the first place.
And what does that look like in real life for someone listening? What are the signs?
It often shows up as deep cynicism, just a complete loss of meaning in your work, emotional numbness, feeling detached from your colleagues or even your family. Sometimes it's physical stuff like mysterious headaches or stomach issues. And it's that bone-deep exhaustion where no amount of sleep or even a week-long vacation can fix it, because the problem isn't your schedule. It's the demanding voice inside your head that never, ever shuts off.
And that voice gets amplified 1,000 times over online. Which brings us to social media and, oh God, the year-end review season.
Yes. Think about LinkedIn in December. It's a highlight reel on steroids. Everyone posting these glowing summaries of their year, every single achievement polished and presented for maximum impact. Or Instagram, with the perfect family photos in matching pajamas in front of the perfectly decorated tree.
It's just weaponized comparison.
It is. It triggers that immediate, painful social comparison. It feeds that feeling of being behind, of not measuring up. The source calls it being exhausted by shoulds. You should have gotten a bigger promotion. You should have a side hustle. You should have a more impressive life to post about. It adds this whole other layer of emotional labor. You don't just have to succeed. You have to perform your success for an audience.
It's exhausting just talking about it. Okay, so we've seen the trap. We've seen how the whole achievement mountain is a mirage.
Realizing that is step one. And that sets us up perfectly for the next part, which is turning inward and looking at how these external myths corrupt our own internal dialogue.
Like, subscribe, and share for more update, and continue to next.
So we've laid out the external landscape of old happy. Now we have to go deeper into the internal lies that this system creates. It starts with the most fundamental one, which is the focus of Chapter 3.
Lie number 1, you're not enough.
This is the source code for all the anxiety. It's this deep, often unconscious belief that you are fundamentally lacking in some way. It gets planted early on, maybe through parents who overemphasized grades, or a school that was super competitive, or just by absorbing cultural messages that value performance above all else.
And that feeling of inadequacy is what fuels the whole engine, right? It creates this desperate need for external validation to kind of plug the hole. You need the praise, you need the award, you need the likes on social media to feel okay.
Exactly. If your self-worth is conditional, if it depends on your last success, then your life becomes this endless quest to prove you deserve to be here. The problem is, external validation is like a sugar high. It's fleeting, it's temporary, the applause fades, someone else gets the next promotion.
And then you need another hit.
You're forced to keep earning your worthiness over and over again. It's a state of perpetual striving that makes real peace impossible.
The book makes a great point that this belief doesn't just go away when you grow up. It evolves. It becomes this nagging inner critic.
Oh, it's incredibly adaptive. When you were a kid, the critic worried about your report card. Now that you're an adult, it worries about your 401k, your parenting skills, whether you're networking effectively. The subject changes from, why didn't you get into that top college, to why haven't you been promoted to VP yet? But the underlying message is identical. You are failing.
It's a constant low-level hum of judgment. So how do we fight back? The source talks about these gentle reframes for self-worth.
This is the absolute core of the new happy philosophy.
Yeah.
You have to shift from a model of earned worth to one of inherent worth.
Yeah.
It's the simple but radical idea that your value as a human being is not up for debate. It's not tied to your productivity or your salary or how clean your house is. It's a given. It's your birthright.
So improvement and growth should come from a place of self-care, not self-punishment.
Precisely. You're motivated by curiosity and a desire to learn, not by a fear of being exposed as a fraud.
Let's make this really practical. The discussion point is about how this plays out in high-pressure social situations, like holiday gatherings in the U.S. Those can feel like a life audit you didn't ask for.
They are a perfect petri dish for these old happy lies. You walk into the room, and the questions start almost immediately. So what are you doing now? Did you get that promotion you were up for? Still single? When are you guys going to buy a house? The subtext is always, prove to me that your life is on the right track.
And your inner critic just lights up, right? Comparing your messy real life to the perfect version your cousin just presented.
Instantly. And if you don't have a shiny, impressive answer, you feel that drop in your stomach, that feeling of shame. The new happy reframe allows you to see that pressure for what it is. An external script that you don't have to follow. Your worth isn't determined by your answer to your uncle's question about your investment portfolio.
So you can just not play the game.
You can engage honestly. You can share what's real for you without needing to impress anyone. You can deflect the question. You can be confident in your own journey, even if it doesn't fit their definition of success. That is true freedom.
Realizing you don't have to justify your own life to feel like you belong at the table, that is a game changer.
Like, subscribe, and share for more update, and continue to next.
Okay, so that leads us directly from the not enough lie into its most common symptom, which is what Chapter 4 is all about, perfectionism and that relentless self-criticism.
Yes. So many of us, especially high achievers, wear perfectionism like a badge of honor. We think is what drives us to do great work.
We call it having high standards.
Right. But the source material and all the science behind it shows that it's actually incredibly destructive. The research is clear. Constant self-criticism is not a motivator. It's a threat.
What do you mean by a threat?
I mean, your brain literally perceives it that way. When your inner critic starts attacking you, that was a stupid thing to say, you're going to fail. It triggers your body's fight or flight response. Your system gets flooded with the stress hormone, cortisol. You're in a constant state of high alert, waiting for the next mistake.
So that belief that if I'm hard on myself, I'll do better is actually just stressing my brain out and making it harder to think clearly.
It's self-sabotage.
Yeah.
It narrows your focus to only see what's wrong. It paralyzes you with fear of making another mistake, and it literally dampens the part of your brain you need for creativity and problem solving,
Wow. So what's the alternative? The book champions self-compassion.
which many people mistake for being lazy or letting yourself off the hook. But it's the opposite. It's a much more effective motivator. When you make a mistake and you respond with self-compassion, treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a friend, you activate the brain's caregiving system. It calms the threat response.
So you can actually learn from the mistake instead of just feeling ashamed of it.
Exactly. You can look at it clearly, see what went wrong, and then re-engage with more resilience. Self-criticism is like whipping a tired horse. Self-compassion is like giving it water and rest so it can run again.
I love that analogy. The source gives a really powerful, actionable exercise for this called the breakup. Can you walk us through that?
It's so effective because it helps you externalize that voice. You stop seeing the critic as you. In the exercise, you literally treat your inner critic like a toxic person you need to break up with.
Like a bad relationship.
Precisely. You can even give it a name, like the judge or general anxiety. You write it a letter detailing all the ways its constant criticism has held you back, hurt your confidence, and made you miserable. And then you formally end the relationship. You say, your services are no longer required. I'm choosing a new way.
It's about taking your power back.
It transforms this overwhelming internal state into a specific external antagonist that you can choose to ignore.
Let's try a mini version right now for everyone listening. Think about a small mistake you made today. Instead of the usual, ugh, I'm such an idiot, just pause and say to yourself, that was a tough moment. It's okay. I'm learning. That's it. That's the start.
That small shift is everything. And this brings us to the end of the year, a perfect time to think about releasing some of those perfectionist habits we see in the U.S. workforce.
Oh, there's so many. Like working late every single night just to tweak a presentation that's already good enough.
Or refusing to delegate anything because you have this belief that if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. That's classic perfectionism. It isolates you and burns you out.
What about not using your vacation days? That's a huge one in American corporate culture. People are afraid of the mountain of work they'll come back to.
And it's glorified. Releasing that habit, actually taking your time off and fully disconnecting, is a radical act of self-compassion. It's telling your inner critic that your value as a person is not determined by your constant availability or output.
So the teaser is, embrace the flaws. They don't make you weak. They make you human.
And that ties directly into the second big lie from Chapter 5. You have to be perfect.
This one feels like the public-facing version of the not enough lie. It's all about presentation.
Exactly. It's the impossible standard of flawlessness.
Well, yeah.
The belief that in order to be valuable or lovable, you have to present this perfect, polished image to the world at all times. No mistakes, no struggles, no bad days.
Which is, of course, completely impossible, and social media just pours gasoline on that fire, right?
It's an amplification engine for perfection. We talked about the highlight reels, but let's talk about the cost of that. The source calls it emotional labor.
The energy it takes to maintain the facade.
The perfect career, the perfect relationship, the perfect body. It means you're constantly censoring yourself, hiding your real struggles, performing this role of the person who has it all together. It is an immense and exhausting cognitive load.
But the source says there's actually relief when that facade crumbles.
There's huge relief because it's in the cracks, in the imperfections, that real connection happens. When a leader admits they don't have all the answers or a friend confesses they're struggling, it creates an opening for real human empathy. It makes them relatable.
So we need to shift our focus from flawlessness to progress.
Yes. From a pass-fail system to a growth system. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to learn, to iterate, to keep showing up. A mistake stops being a catastrophe and instead becomes data for the next attempt.
Okay, it's a question for you listening. Where has this chase for perfection shown up for you recently? In your work, in your relationships?
Did you hold back on launching a project because it wasn't perfect yet? Did you avoid a tough conversation with your partner because you didn't know the perfect thing to say?
Those moments of hiding are where we block our own joy. The relief of just showing up as you are, messy and imperfect, is the real prize.
Like, subscribe, and share for more update, and continue to next.
All right, We have tackled the external traps of old happy and the internal lies it creates. Now we move on to what might be the most damaging myth of all, especially in our culture: the idea that success is a solo mission.
This brings us to Chapter 6 and the third big lie. Happiness comes from individual success. The source calls this the isolation trap.
It's so seductive, though, isn't it? The idea of the rugged individual, the self-made person. We celebrate that narrative.
We do. And independence is a good thing, but it becomes toxic when it turns into isolation. It's the belief that you have to do it all on your own and that asking for help is a sign of weakness.
Let's unpack that a little. Why does a win that you achieve all by yourself sometimes feel so hollow? You hit the big goal, you're standing on top of the mountain alone, and the joy just evaporates. Why?
Because we are fundamentally social creatures. Our brains are wired for shared experience. A solo achievement gives you a quick hit of dopamine, a reward for accomplishing a task. But that feeling doesn't last unless it's reinforced and given meaning through social connection.
So joy gets bigger when you share it.
It's magnified when it's witnessed by people who care about you. And pain is lessened when it's shared. A solo win just doesn't have resonance. It's like a great song played in an empty room.
The book connects this directly to the loneliness epidemic, which feels like it's getting worse and worse.
The data is really alarming. We're seeing rising rates of loneliness across the board, and it's particularly acute in these hyper-individualistic hubs in the U.S., places like Silicon Valley or New York City, where everyone is so focused on their own climb that they forget how to build a community.
And it's not just a feeling. Loneliness has real health consequences.
It's a massive public health crisis. It contributes to depression, anxiety, all sorts of physical ailments. Our nervous systems are designed to co-regulate with others. We need that sense of secure attachment to thrive. Radical self-sufficiency is actually fighting our own biology.
Which brings us back to the core argument of New Happy, that genuine connection is more important for our long-term well-being than any personal achievement.
100%. Achievement might give you status, but connection gives you meaning. And status is fragile, it's external, it can be taken away. Meaning is internal, it's durable. Old Happy sees other people as competitors on the ladder. New Happy sees them as fellow travelers.
Let's talk about how this plays out in the world of remote work in 2025. For so many people, the office was their main source of community, and now that's gone.
Remote work is a double-edged sword. The flexibility is great, but it has stripped away all of those small, informal, humanizing interactions. The chat by the coffee machine, the shared lunch, the quick question over the cubicle wall.
Stuff that actually builds trust.
All of it. Now, nearly every interaction is scheduled, on camera, and performance-based. It's hyper-efficient, but it's often devoid of warmth. So people are working harder than ever, but they feel more disconnected and siloed than ever.
When you combine that physical distance with the cultural pressure to be self-sufficient, it's a perfect recipe for isolation.
It is. Which means we have to be so much more intentional about building those connections back, and that's what the next chapter is all about.
So how do we do it? Chapter 2 is the how-to for overcoming individualism and actually building a sense of belonging.
And the number one tool in the toolbox is vulnerability.
Which feels like the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do in a competitive world, right? You're not supposed to show your weaknesses.
But vulnerability is the gateway to trust. When you share a real struggle, I'm really overwhelmed by this project, or I'm feeling kind of lost right now, you give the other person permission to be human too. It instantly deepens the connection.
I think we're all so afraid of being judged, but often the person we're scared to open up to is just waiting for someone to go first.
We have to dismantle this idea that asking for help is a weakness. It's one of the biggest barriers, especially in American professional culture.
It's seen as a failure, like you weren't prepared enough or smart enough to figure it out on your own.
We have to reframe that completely. Asking for support is a sign of strength. It shows self-awareness. It shows you respect other people's expertise. It's about collaboration, not dependency.
And it's not just about what we can get from others. The book says we also have to actively create inclusive spaces.
Yes, we have to become builders of community, not just consumers of it. And that means simple things. Practicing active listening, where you're not just waiting for your turn to talk. Asking people questions about their lives outside of work, making sure everyone in the meeting gets a chance to speak. It's about making people feel seen and valued for who they are, not just for their output.
Let's give people some really practical takeaways, especially as we head into winter, which can be an isolating time for a lot of people in the U.S.
Think small and low pressure. Don't try to throw a giant, perfect holiday party. Maybe you organize a casual potluck or a game night for your neighbors. If you're working remotely, schedule a 15-minute virtual coffee chat with a coworker with one rule: no talking about work.
I love that rule.
Or join a local group that has nothing to do with your career. A hiking club, a volunteer group, a bowling league, something that connects you with people on a purely human level. These small, intentional acts are the antidote to the isolation trap.
It all starts with one small step, one reach out.
Like, subscribe, and share for more update, and continue to next.
All right, this feels like a major turning point in our deep dive. We've broken down the old broken model. Now we start building the new one. This is the shift to new happy.
It is. Part 4 is where we pivot from dismantling the lies to embracing the solution. And it all begins with authenticity, which is the focus of Chapter 8.
This is the moment we officially ditch the earning model of happiness and move to a being model. And the first step, which sounds terrifying, is ditching the societal scripts.
It's the hardest part because those scripts feel like our own thoughts. These are the shoulds we've inherited. I should go to law school because it's prestigious. We should buy a bigger house because that's what successful people do. We have to learn to distinguish those external shoulds from our internal genuine wants.
And that's tricky because we're often rewarded for following the shoulds with approval from our parents or society.
That's the trap. It's motivation based on seeking external approval. New Happy is about shifting to internal motivation, doing something not because it will impress others, but because it feels true and meaningful to you.
When you do that, you stop needing permission from the outside world.
You start creating your own. The reward is in the act itself, not in the applause you get for it.
Okay, let's bring this to the listener right now, especially with all the end-of-year pressure. What is the authentic you that you might be hiding right now?
Maybe you're hiding the fact that you're exhausted and just want to rest, but you feel you should be going to all the holiday parties. Maybe you're hiding a creative passion because you think it's not a serious use of your time. Authenticity is giving yourself permission to honor those real needs and desires, even if they don't look productive or perfect.
And that self-acceptance is what allows you to discover what you really have to offer. Which leads us to Chapter 9, discovering your unique strengths and gifts.
Once you strip away the shoulds, you can see what's actually there. And the New Happy approach is built on this idea that each of us has these inherent talents, these gifts, that are the true source of our fulfillment.
The book has a guided reflection exercise to help you find these. How does that work? It's not just, what are you good at, is it?
No, it's deeper than that. What you're good at can still be an old happy trap. The exercise asks you to think about moments when you felt most alive, most engaged, when you lost track of time, that feeling of flow.
And then you analyze what you were doing in those moments.
Exactly. What skills were you using? Were you organizing a complex project effortlessly? Were you explaining a difficult concept to someone with incredible clarity? Were you making a group of tense people laugh and relax? Those moments point to your natural innate gifts.
And here's the idea that really flipped things for me. These gifts aren't just for you. They're meant to be shared.
That is the absolute heart of New Happy. The deepest fulfillment comes not from using your gifts to get ahead, but from using them in service of others. When you use a talent that feels easy and joyful to you to help someone else, the positive feeling you get is 100 times more powerful than just getting a bonus or a promotion.
So a final reflection for everyone on this past year, 2025. Think back. What were the moments where your natural talents really shone and brought you the most satisfaction?
It probably wasn't the task that was the hardest or paid the most. Maybe it was your ability to stay calm during a crisis at work, or your knack for giving the perfect, thoughtful gift, or your patience in teaching your kid a new skill. Those are your gifts, and they are your path to real joy.
They're just waiting for you to own them and share them.
Like, subscribe, and share for more update, and continue to next.
Okay, so we've embraced our authentic selves, we've identified our unique gifts. Now we get to the core operating principles of living a new happy life every day.
This is part V, and it lays out 2 foundational principles. The first, from Chapter 10, is the principle of humanity, fostering deeper connections.
This feels like it's taking everything we've learned about belonging and putting it into action. It's about empathy and presence.
And we have to be really clear about what presence means. It's not just being in the same room. The book distinguishes between passive listening and active, empathetic presence.
Passive listening is when you're just waiting for your turn to talk, right? You're already forming your reply in your head.
Exactly. Empathetic presence is when you put your own agenda aside completely and just try to understand the other person's world. You're not there to fix or to judge. You're just there to witness and validate their experience.
It's about quality over quantity. Old Happy was about building a huge network on LinkedIn. New Happy is about nurturing a few deep, real relationships.
One person you can be completely yourself with is worth more to your well-being than 1,000 superficial contacts. That's what protects you from loneliness.
But to get that depth, you have to be vulnerable. And that connects back to the fear of not being perfect.
It does. You can't be truly seen if you're afraid to show your flaws. The fear is that if people see the real, imperfect you, they'll reject you. The principle of humanity asks you to have the courage to test that belief, to trust that real connection is built on shared imperfection, not shared perfection.
Let's give some really practical tips for doing this during the holidays, a time that can actually feel very superficial.
Instead of trying to work the room at a party and have a 2-minute chat with everyone, pick 2 or 3 people and have a real conversation. Put your phone away. Actually make eye contact. Ask them an open-ended question like, what was a meaningful moment for you this year?
Not just how's work.
Right. And if they share something difficult, resist the urge to immediately offer advice. Just say, wow, that sounds really hard. That simple validation is one of the greatest gifts you can give someone.
That focused attention is what builds the strong ties that lead to real joy. And that leads to the second principle.
The principle of contribution from Chapter 11. This is where you take your unique gifts and you use them to actively make a positive impact. It's where authenticity and humanity come together.
And there's actual science behind this. The book talks about how giving and helping others is one of the most reliable ways to boost your own happiness.
It's not just a nice idea, it's biochemistry. When we do something generous or helpful for someone else, our brain releases this cocktail of positive chemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins. It's often called the helper's high. You get this warm glow of purpose that is far more lasting than the thrill of a personal achievement.
A crucial point here for busy people is that contribution doesn't have to be some huge, life-changing gesture.
Absolutely. We need to get rid of the idea that you have to quit your job and start a nonprofit to make a difference. New happy contribution is small, consistent, and uses your specific gifts. If you're a great writer, maybe you help a friend polish their resume. If you're a good cook, you bring a meal to a neighbor who just had a baby.
Let's brainstorm a few more of those small, US-based ideas.
Okay. If you work in tech and you're great at troubleshooting, maybe you offer to spend an hour helping the seniors at a local community center with their smartphones. If your gift is being a great listener, maybe you volunteer for a crisis text line for just 2 hours a week from your own home.
These are things anyone can do. Okay, so a challenge for everyone listening. What is one small, immediate way you can share one of your gifts in your own corner of the world this week?
Maybe it's just offering to babysit for a friend who's a stressed-out parent so they can have a couple of hours to themselves. If your strength is humor, maybe you make a point of sending a funny meme to a coworker who you know is having a rough time. It's about finding the intersection of what you do effortlessly and what the world around you needs.
That's where fulfillment lives, in that intersection.
Like, subscribe, and share for more update, and continue to next.
And that brings us to the final chapter, Chapter 12. This is all about making New Happy a sustainable practice. How do we integrate all of these ideas into our actual daily lives?
It's about building new habits and new routines, but not the kind of hyper-optimized routines of Old Happy. These are routines for sustained joy.
So instead of a routine focused on maximizing output, it's a routine focused on maximizing meaning.
Exactly. And the habits are really simple. The book suggests things like starting your day with a 5-minute self-compassion practice. Instead of checking your email, you just take a moment to be kind to yourself, to acknowledge your own effort.
What else?
Another one is to choose one interaction each day where you will be fully empathetically present. Maybe it's with your child after school, or with the cashier at the grocery store. No phone, no distractions, just genuine human connection.
And finally, a small act of contribution.
Yes. Look for one opportunity each day to use one of your unique strengths to help someone else in a very small, low-stress way. These small habits, practiced consistently, are what rewire your brain from the old happy performance mindset to the new happy purpose mindset.
And when you do that, you start to integrate purpose into your everyday life. It stops being this big abstract thing you're searching for and starts being something you're living.
The feeling shifts from just getting through the day to actually living it. The tasks that felt like a grind before, start to feel meaningful because you can see how they connect to your values and how they create positive ripples in the world around you.
And that's where we get to the idea of collective change. This isn't just about our own personal happiness in a bubble.
Not at all. The source makes it clear that your happiness is not a zero-sum game. In fact, it's contagious. When you operate from a place of authenticity and compassion, you literally change the emotional weather around you. You make it safer for your family, your friends, and your colleagues to be their authentic selves, too.
That's the ripple effect.
It is. And that's the ultimate goal of New Happy. It's a shift from seeing happiness as a selfish individual pursuit to seeing your own well-being as your fundamental contribution to the well-being of the world.
So, to wrap this all up, we've gone on a huge journey today. From the exhaustion of the old happy treadmill and the tyranny of the inner critic.
All the way to the freedom of authenticity, the power of connection, and the deep joy of contribution.
The biggest takeaway for me is that happiness isn't something out there that you have to earn or achieve. It's already inside you, waiting for you to give yourself permission to feel it. And connection is the key that unlocks it.
It's the relief of finally being able to stop performing and just be.
So we'll end with one final empowering question for you. Based on this whole deep dive, what is the one concrete new happy change you are going to commit to carrying forward into 2026?
It could be a new habit, a mindset shift, a small act. Just pick one thing. That's how the journey begins.
Thank you so much for taking this deep dive with us.
It's been a pleasure. Until next time.
Bye for now.